Menudo cumpleaños que le han dado al señor Barack Obama en un día en el que quería que todo el Partido Demócrata de Estados Unidos hubiera estado en torno a él, y el tema de la semana ha sido el informe de la Fiscalía que confirmaba las acusaciones de acoso sexual contra una de las estrellas actuales del Partido Demócrata, el gobernador de Nueva York, el señor Cuomo. ¿Cómo será la cosa? Que hasta una cadena tan habitualmente pro Partido Demócrata de Estados Unidos como es La Sexta de A3 Media en España tuvo que hablar del tema, y no precisamente con una cobertura favorable hacia don Cuomo.
Aunque para noticia de verdad desde Estados Unidos, Diana Mata, lo que ha pasado con el gobernador de Nueva York, que nos tiene a todos escandalizados, acusado, no sé si de agresión exactamente,
de acoso,
acoso sexual.
Una decena de mujeres, Hilario, Marina, le han acusado de acoso sexual, de comportamientos inapropiados, de acercamientos que no querían. La Fiscalía del Estado del que Cuomo es gobernador, no lo olvidemos, la Fiscalía General ha llevado a cabo una investigación tremenda que ha recabado 74.000 pruebas. ¿Y cuál es la conclusión? Que dan toda la credibilidad a los testimonios de las denunciantes. La acusación más grave de la que podemos hablar proviene de una empleada de Cuomo, de una asistente, que narra cómo él cerró la puerta de la habitación donde se encontraban e incluso le metió la mano por debajo de la blusa con caricias no deseadas, y después de años, que describe la denunciante, años de atención no deseada tampoco.
Y ante estas pruebas, ante estas acusaciones, ¿cuál ha sido la respuesta del susodicho?
Me imagino que negarlo todo, ¿no?
Negarlo todo, efectivamente, negarlo todo. Y fue usar...
yo me comporto así con todo el mundo,
exacto,
¿no?
Yo
con
agarro
mujeres,
todo el mundo,
con hombres.
Yo me comporto así. Ahí estamos viéndolo, besando, abrazando tanto a su familia como a políticos, como os decía, incluso al propio presidente, a Joe Biden. Yo soy cercano con la gente,
como que
igual
no
me he equivocado, pero no en ningún momento pretendía acosar a nadie.
Estamos hablando de un político importante, de un todopoderoso dentro de la política de Estados Unidos. Incluso se ha llegado a hablar en algún momento de él como posible candidato a la Casa Blanca. Es demócrata. No sé cuál es la reacción del presidente Biden. ¿Qué ha dicho Biden?
Pues mira, Biden es que estaba un poquito atado, porque en marzo dijo que si esta investigación determinaba que las denunciantes decían la verdad, que él pediría la dimisión de, como dice su compañero de partido, el todopoderoso demócrata y gobernador de Nueva York, Cuomo.
Let me ask you about Governor Cuomo of New York. I know you said you want the investigation to continue. If the investigation confirms the claims of the women, should he resign?
Yes, I think he probably end up being prosecuted too.
But how about right now? You said you want the investigation to continue. You saw Chuck Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, majority of the congressional delegation don't think he can be an effective governor. Right now, can he serve effectively?
Well, that's a judgment for them to make about their state where they can be effective. Here's my position. It's been my position since I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. A woman should be presumed to telling the truth and should not be scapegoated and become victimized by her coming forward, number one. But there should be an investigation to determine whether what she says is true. That's what's going on now. I started with the presumption. It takes a lot of courage for a woman to come forward. So the presumption is it should be taken seriously and it should be investigated. And that's what's underway now.
Los españoles en lo que no han entrado mucho es en la actitud mediática que ha habido en Estados Unidos hacia este personaje, y es en lo que me interesa entrar a mí, porque ya hemos dedicado unas cuantas piezas a hablar del señor Cuomo aquí, de los dos, de don Cuomo y de su hermano, el señor Chris Cuomo, que es el presentador estrella de la CNN.
Nursing homes. People died there. They didn't have to. It was mismanaged, and the operators have been given immunity. What do you have to say about that? Several statements that are not correct, but that's okay. It's your show. You say whatever you want to say. Me having you on the show is an unusual thing. We've never really done it, but this was an unusual time, and there were unusual needs, and you stepped up in an unusual way. That really was created by a vacuum of power on the federal level. You're not the only one. There were other governors. You've been very good, collaborative with Hogan down in Maryland and Whitmer and DeWine and the ones up in the Northeast region. But these unusual times have demonstrated some unusual characteristics in people. And of course, I won't always be able to keep having you on the show. It'll never be seen as fair in people's eyes, and we both get that, and that's okay. You got plenty of people to talk to. But I want you to know that June's a big month for us. Right? We got Mom and Pop's anniversary on the 5th. We got Pop's birthday on the 15th. And this is what he always wanted. He was proud when you became governor because of what he knew you'd do. Remember that whole talk he gave us about, I'm not proud, I don't believe in pride. Pride's deadly sin and blah, blah, blah. What he wanted to see is what you'd do with the opportunity. And everything that he ever said mattered to him about public service is what you demonstrated right here and right now during this period when your state needed it most. And I hear it all the time. Not everybody likes you. Not everybody likes me. Everybody seems to like Pop now. That's the benefit of being out for a while, maybe gone. I just hope you recognize what even I'm able to recognize, being spawned from the same wolf pack. I hope you are able to appreciate what you did in your state and what it means for the rest of the country now, and what it will always mean to those who love and care about you the most. I'm wowed by what you did, and more importantly, I'm wowed by how you did it. This was very hard. I know it's not over, but obviously I love you as a brother. Obviously I'll never be objective. Obviously I think you're the best politician in the country. But I hope you feel good about what you did for your people, because I know they appreciate it. Nothing's perfect. You'll have your critics. Thank you. But I've never seen anything like what you did, and that's why I'm so happy to have had you on the show. And I hope you know that. Unusual times, right? He's my big brother. I love him. Of course I'm not objective. But let's call it straight. Look at the state. Look at the numbers. Look at New Jersey. Look at Connecticut. Look how they came together. Yeah, he's my brother. That's it. There's no question. I could cry about it in a second. But the results are there for all to see. Was it perfect? No. You tell me what is. But look at the state our country's in. And if you don't think this is going to be reflected in what happens in November, then you haven't been paying attention.
Y además, el señor Chris Cuomo está directamente implicado en este asunto, porque cuando empezaron los rumores de escándalo sexual en torno a la figura de don Andrew Cuomo, el señor Chris Cuomo fue señalado como alguien que estaba asesorando a su hermano sobre cómo debía afrontar este reto y que incluso era quien le había redactado algunos comunicados. Y es una lástima porque hasta ese momento el señor Cuomo era una figura estrella del Partido Demócrata, hasta el punto de que se le señalaba como un posible candidato a la presidencia para las elecciones del año 2024 en caso de que el señor Biden no quisiera presentarse a reelección.
You've said that you have no political aspirations beyond the job you're in right now.
Right.
A lot of people are asking why. Why not think about something grander, bigger, presidential? Would you accept a cabinet position in the Biden administration?
No.
That was a quick no.
Nope.
Why not? This is as serious a topic as you might imagine, yet there's been some levity in some of the praise you've received. I know that you've been portrayed as some sort of a homecoming king of this crisis, and a headline from Jezebel Help, I think I'm in love with Andrew Cuomo. The New York Post dubbed you the new Love Gov. Chelsea Handler wrote you a love letter essay in Vogue entitled Dear Andrew Cuomo, I want to be your first lady. Your reaction to all that, your daughter's reaction?
Cuomo was married for 15 years to Carrie Kennedy, the daughter of Robert F. Kennedy, and until last year was in a long relationship with author and TV chef Sandra Lee. But he's unattached now. You are a bachelor. You've got a nice house here, having a moment, and you can't do a thing with it. Is your social life in a phase 1 relationship, possibly? Is that an unfortunate set of circumstances?
Well, I think...
Because I know you're a bachelor. I know you've talked about being available.
Yeah, the house isn't mine. It's sort of like a rental. I will move out one day. I can reopen the economy, but dating, that's a whole different thing beyond my control.
Pity, isn't it? I find it really hard to accept after decades in government. You don't have a political agenda in your future that's on the back of your mind. 4 years from now, either Donald Trump will not run for re-election or Joe Biden will be 82, and probably there will be search for a Democratic nominee, and I cannot believe that Andrew Cuomo won't be on that stage.
Joe Biden is going to be the president of the United States. I believe that. I believe Joe Biden will run for a second term.
At 82?
Yes, and I hope to be the governor of the state of New York. I have something to contribute. This is my home. I love it. And I'm happy.
What is it with the Cuomos? The fact that your father never ran for president is still, one of the great mysteries of political life. What does your mother say?
We haven't had that conversation.
Really?
Really.
Y esto es interesante porque aunque el señor Chris Cuomo ya pidió disculpas en el pasado por haber asesorado a su hermano en esta historia, era antes de que la fiscalía hiciera público el informe. Antes de que el presidente Biden dijera que el señor Cuomo debía dimitir y antes de que el gobernador de Nueva York estuviera aparentemente muerto políticamente, como parece que lo está en el momento de grabar esta pieza.
Back in March, you said that if the investigation confirmed the allegations against Governor Cuomo, then he should resign. So will you now call on him to resign?
I stand by that statement.
Are you now calling on him to resign?
Yes.
And if he doesn't resign, do you believe he should be impeached and removed from office?
Let's take one thing at a time here. I think he should resign. I understand that the state legislature may decide to impeach.
En la cadena de noticias líder en Estados Unidos, en la Fox News, enemiga de la CNN, ya se ha pedido abiertamente la dimisión del señor Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo himself or CNN didn't want him to cover it. What's your take?
Yeah, Jillian, I said this on the air yesterday. I'll say it again. He should not have been on the air last night, that being Chris Cuomo. They should have put somebody in there who resembles a journalist and not an activist who has the title of anchor and plays one on TV. So, look, Andrew Cuomo won't resign, at least for now. That's not what narcissists do, particularly in power. There's also a second narcissist Cuomo, and that's the aforementioned Chris Cuomo. From this perspective, this anchor should also resign and go work for the Democratic Party, particularly when you think about what has happened in aggregate since he has been so-called covering this story for CNN, a once very proud news network that had a very good brand in the days of Bernard Shaw, and we're talking a long time ago, unfortunately. Chris Cuomo got access to VIP COVID testing from his brother governor when almost no one could get tested early in the pandemic in New York. CNN says and does nothing. Chris Cuomo, on multiple occasions, when interviewing his brother, if you want to call them interviews because they're really PR stunts, never broached the nursing home death toll cover-up that one of his own aides, and that being Andrew Cuomo, actually admitted to. Per CNN reporting, CNN does nothing unless heavily promoting keeping up with the Cuomos is considered something. And this isn't playing well inside of CNN either. This is what one staffer said. I think that as journalists, it's our responsibility to act in the most responsible possible way to not only maintain journalistic integrity, but also the public trust in journalism and television news. And the fact that Chris Cuomo wasn't fired over his inappropriate conflict of interest in actively affecting a news story is not only irresponsible for CNN, but also a disgrace to journalism. That's somebody at CNN saying that. And then, of course, you had Chris Cuomo advising his brother, here's how you beat sexual harassment allegations.
Pero no ha sido solo a la derecha. Si nos vamos a la cadena más progresista, la MSNBC publicaba un artículo en su página web donde decía abiertamente: Biden tiene razón, Andrew Cuomo tiene que dimitir, pero no es el único Cuomo que tiene que dimitir. Con lo que diríamos que también parece que al señor Chris Cuomo se le están acabando las amistades. Y tiene lógica porque nadie puede ser responsable de lo que hace un hermano. Pero si decides asesorar a tu hermano, en este caso, lo cual es muy lógico entre hermanos, inevitablemente quedas salpicado en el tema. Y probablemente a la CNN no le interese que su figura estrella quede vinculada como la figura que está defendiendo a un político acusado por acoso sexual. Más allá de que hay que ser coherente y si se cree en la presunción de inocencia, debería ser para todos, si aún queda alguien que crea en ella en algún sitio. Pero no ha sido solo cosa de la Fox News y de la MSNBC. También en la cadena de Disney, la ABC, se han oído cosas muy duras contra la CNN y contra el señor Chris Cuomo, a los que han acusado de proteger los presuntos acosos sexuales del señor Andrew Cuomo. Así decía la señora McCain.
I also think it's interesting, we had a conversation about nepotism on this show a few days ago. You want to talk about nepotism, not having to talk about the biggest scandal in the country when it has to do with your brother and you're hosting CNN. That's nepotism. The Cuomo family and CNN are the worst kinds of nepotism that the media has an example of. If it were my brother, if my brother were somehow the governor and he had been accused of this, you are damn straight I'd be talking about it on The View this morning, and that makes all of them cowards. So I hope that Governor Cuomo is either forced out of office or resigns, and I hope that his brother Chris Cuomo has any kind of retribution whatsoever for his show, because there was a point in time when they were doing comedy sketches with giant Q-tips on air during the height. Here we have a picture, and this was all fine and good. So when he's fine, it's okay to air it. That's journalism. It's journalism now that he's bad and he's been accused of all this and the investigation came out. It's all disgusting. We wonder why people hate the media and hate journalism.
Puede ser que tenga razón en lo que está diciendo y en su diagnóstico. Solo hago un matiz cuando hace referencia al nepotismo. Si quiere dar a entender que el señor Cuomo no hubiera llegado tan lejos sin ser el hermano del señor Cuomo, también habría quien podría pensar que que la señora McCain no hubiera llegado a donde ha llegado si no hubiera sido la hija del senador McCain. En todo caso, dimita o no el gobernador Cuomo y dimita o no el presentador de la CNN Cuomo, se me ocurre que una de las personas de Estados Unidos que habrá disfrutado leyendo ese tipo de noticias será el señor Donald Trump, habida cuenta de la relación tan particular que tenía con el programa del señor Cuomo.
I argue that this president should consider his own criticism. Why? He is mired in the mud of minority approval. And he has a tailwind economy from the past president, Obama, a market-juicing tax cut, record unemployment. Thank God no one has succeeded in hurting us horribly. He has a media that is totally attentive. He had both houses of Congress to start with, and he still isn't at 50%. Look at it. I don't think any other modern president could boast more good fortune, and they were all in the same range. More impressive, almost all had spikes over 50%. Not this president. Look at the numbers. Why? His mouth and his moral judgments.